Welcome to the She's So Bossy podcast with Jaci, Russo, and Melissa both. Where the 1.9% of women who built million-dollar businesses come to share their story.
Melissa, today we interviewed Missy Rogers. What you're going to hear, and you're going to hear it throughout as you see the edits, it's a two-part interview. We did it online first, like we always do, and then we did it in person because of some technical challenges. And I think the conversation was improved and elevated by being in person. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Yes. The personal and the practical. It was, and it's weird to talk about her while she's still sitting right here, but it really was an impactful conversation of the personal and the practical elements of leadership and developing something that will be long lasting.
Yeah. Well, when we started this podcast, focusing on the 1.9% of women who lead and have built companies to cross the $1 million threshold, still can't believe it's less than 2%. We have got to fix that one podcast interview at a time. The goal was to make sure we were lifting the stories of the women that have done it to help the ones who haven't. And if this isn't an interview that will help the 98%, I don't know what is.
Grab a coffee mug, just sit and be ready to learn and take it in, because it really feels like wisdom. Every little nugget and story was impactful.
And before we get right into it, I have to say that one of our most ardent listeners, Holly Howat, is so excited that Missy was our guest today. She's like, I can't wait. I'm circling it on my calendar.
I mean, how cool that it's a local person that we love and know and get to interact with on a regular basis. And I feel smarter just kind of like being in the room.
I know, me too. So y'all dig in and put your feet up and listen to Missy Rogers educate all of us.
Because she's so bossy.
Welcome to the She's So Bossy podcast. What you will discover during this episode is this is take 2. Last week, we did it like we normally do it on Zoom, but there were some internet challenges, not with my internet connection, I just want to say, for my internet provider. So we decided to do it in person, which is a long-held dream of Melissa's. And so here we are. So joining us will be Missy Rogers, but what you're going to see in this episode, if you're watching it, is you'll see some of us in person and you'll see some of us in our normal Zoom. So it's an extra special episode for a lot of reasons, mostly to highlight Reagan's editing ability. Yeah. So, Missy, welcome to the podcast again.
Thank you so much. I'm very, very excited to be your first live guest.
In person.
We are too.
Yes, we are too.
And based on the conversation that we had last week, I'm especially glad to pick up some of those threads and keep running with it.
So I grew up on the West Bank of New Orleans, but I did commute across in-bridge traffic for an hour and a half every day to graduate from Dominican.
Whoa! What year?
86.
Okay. My sisters were all three Dominican, but they were like 69, 70, 71. And then my cousin Lisa Cates, she might have been a senior when you were a freshman.
Lisa Bernstein.
Well, Lisa Bernstein.
So I had so my mom, her sister, both of my aunts. So let me think. The aunt ahead of me would have graduated in 78. Okay. And the sister ahead of me would have graduated in, 72?
So they probably know each other.
71 maybe?
My sisters then. They were Lyonses then.
Lyons.
Lyons, yeah.
Tell them to pull out their yearbooks, and if there was a Bagnetto in there.
A Bagnetto?
No, Bagnetto.
Bagnetto. Bagnetto. Sicilian Bagnetto.
Okay.
Not me. I'm the adopted German girl. But the rest of them, they're all Sicilian.
Okay.
I get that. I'm married into Sicilian Russos. I understand.
Yeah.
I went to Cabrini.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. The sister immediately ahead of me went to Cabrini. And then when we moved to the West Bank, she graduated blank.
Okay.
So not sure she's forgiven my mother yet for making her graduate from blank and then sending me back across to Dominican. But
yeah. That's wild, small world.
For our listeners that are not briefed in New Orleans Catholic school culture, Dominican and Cabrini are like rival all-girl schools that have no rivalry, but they definitely know each other. Like there's some cross-eyed checking happening.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it was because we didn't have a sassy name for Cabrini, right? So, all the girls.
Wait, y'all never called them Weenie
girls.
Cabrini? There's options here.
No. Oh, I've not heard this one.
No, I just made it up, but that seems like an opportunity missed.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know what we were thinking.
Right.
teenage girls were so cruel. So we were Dominican, right? And then Mount Carmel, they were Mount Charmel. So Charmel, who the Ursa slimes instead
Oh
of the
my God.
Ursulines, you know? Yeah, not
What
not
about
real
Sacred Heart?
mature.
I mean, I went to the academy in Grand Coteau. What did y'all call the ones on St. Charles?
I'm not sure that we did.
So they're just above the fray.
They were
They're
above
so
the
good,
fray.
they're
Yeah,
untouchable.
it was Ursuline, Mount Carmel, and Dominican that were just
Yeah, and Cabrini at the time was like so kind of under the radar. We weren't really that competitive. Our rivals was like Chappelle in Kenner.
yeah. Chappelle. I had friends go to Chappelle. I think maybe the other three. It was more about the volleyball teams. Maybe.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
funny.
My cousins were very competitive volleyball players. My mom was like an all city, all star, all sports, like her whole freaking life. And I had a very embarrassing story from senior day, when they're announcing all the scholarships and the awards and things. And so it was senior honor day at Dominican High School, and I was your prototypical nerd, quiz bowl, math club, all the things. And I mean, my mother was very bright and a good student, but her big high school victories were all sports related. She was all city, all state, all star, all sports, like crazy, like middle school through high school crazy. So it's we're past the scholarship money, we're past the academic honors, we're in the athletic honors, and they get down to intramural softball, the white ribbon, the honorable mention, the fourth place ribbon, and they're reading off the name of the team. And my name made it onto a roster, and my mother stands up and screams, "Melissa got a sports ribbon!" And, it was one of those things where I didn't really have the heart to tell her we would have forfeited the game if we didn't have somebody else on the roster that day. And so I was reading, as I often was, and they had me stand out in left field. I didn't even have a glove. And if anything came my way, somebody else ran over and caught it. And I literally was a warm body on a field. So that's the peak of my athletic ability, standing in a field with a book. Um,
But you got an
not
award. Congratulations to that.
she was more proud of that. She like called people for hours afterwards. Melissa got a sports ribbon. Melissa got a sports ribbon. So yeah, it was high school was interesting for me.
Right.
And then Missy, now since then, and I read somewhere recently, you're getting like other accolades, achievements, awards, some really incredible achievements, Missy.
Thank you. It's difficult when it's your name being put on the recognition, and that it's not yours alone. That it's such a team effort, and whether that's in the company, in manufacturing, or community impact, we've been so fortunate to be recognized, and it's a little bit awkward, to get up and thank people for the recognition without saying, I'm just a part of this, right? And it's that balance, it's that ego balance line of letting yourself own some pride and overcoming maybe an imposter situation of, oh, it's not really about me, and saying, well, you know what, I absolutely helped build this, and I absolutely helped bring this to fruition. But the fruits of this labor are so far beyond what I ever could do myself or thought for myself, that it always feels a little disingenuous to be the one who gets to say thank you, who is the one whose picture is on something. So I'm much more comfortable when we've won company awards to be able to bring a whole team and get them, in a little spotlight and get them in a picture. So we've been accoladed both personally and professionally, and so that's very rewarding. But internally, it's a very uncomfortable thing for me.
I've often seen this, and I don't even know who to attribute the quote to, but that as entrepreneurs, we should share the credit to the team who does the work and earns the honor, and take the blame when anything goes wrong.
Oh,
That's
oh,
like our
absolutely.
role in the organization. And so to hear you talk about that, it's a reminder to me that that is what great leaders do.
Well, I don't know about great leaders, but I'll just say leaders, okay?
All
It's a
right.
process. It's not like you win an award or somebody tells you nice words one day and suddenly you're a great leader. It's a continuing process. And I think it's because your team continues to evolve, not just the size of the team and the makeup of the team, but we're so fortunate. We've got people who've been on our team more than 10 years. If you think someone doesn't change a lot from their first couple of years out of college to being a mid-30s parent, they change a lot. And so you have to adapt to them. And I think sometimes the challenge can be, I don't struggle with it, but I see it a lot. Maybe because my kids are at that similar age, I don't have difficulty giving them the space to grow. And I find that I am effective at letting them be who they are, where they are, and not holding back on who they used to be. And I think that's maybe something that if you're fortunate enough to have a really long-lived relationship with someone professionally, maybe you don't change that much from 40 to 50, but you change a lot from 22 to 35. And so I think particularly if you're in an environment where your staff is really young and you can keep them, I think that's the big challenge, is to give them the grace to have been 23 and recognize that now they're 30, they're 35, they're 38. They're going to be a leader. They're going to be a manager. They're going to, hopefully you've coached and developed them to the point that they now can be entrusted with another half dozen people to coach and develop. And so I love that part of my role here. It's the most personally gratifying is to see them develop. It's my favorite part. And I think when it comes to the taking credit, the two things I'll take credit for, like you say, you have to take credit for the blame, right? One of my favorite clients of all, he's been with us for 20 years, and I'll introduce him to this account manager or that new head of engineering or something, and he'll say, "Well, this is great. You're growing. You're getting new people, but whose throat do I choke?" And I go, "This one right here. This is the throat you choke." They're here to take care of you, and if anything goes wrong, you come to me.
Right.
And we're going to fix it. And so you're right. I mean, you have to have the backing for your team. You have to know that they have to know that you're not going to hang them out to dry. They have to know that when it comes to it, that you've got the internal trust for them to be in the responsibility and the positions that they're in, so that your clients have that security, that the whole organization understands their needs and is committed to delivering it. And so when I've been asked about, team success or personal success, I will say, I think that identification of talent and that allowance to give them some space and some grace to grow is probably my superpower. That I don't pigeonhole people. And I think that's helpful.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about Missy Rogers and Noble Plastics?
Okay, so I grew up in New Orleans in a blended family, and went to LSU to get my mechanical engineering degree. And
Are your people scientists? Like, is that a thing in your family?
My grandfather was a chemical engineer, but no, the rest of them are not. Now, the generation below me, yes, quite a bit, actually. I'd like to think that Aunt Missy and Uncle Scott had some influences, being able to do some cool stuff. But Scott and I were students together, study partners and that sort of thing, and got married and had each gone our own path in industry. He on very much he got his master's degree and did a lot of work on custom sensors and feedback systems. This was before there were simulation programs and things like that. So he was writing his own programs and methods of analysis using observation and sensors, and got some patents on that. While I went a very traditional petrochem route, I was an equipment gal in a refinery for Texaco. But in the course of those engineering careers, he was hired by an oil field services company to help get a new product line started here in Lafayette. And that's what moved us to Lafayette. And although they were trying to get both of us, because at that point we were working together in consulting, I had stepped back to have our kids. And so I had 4 or 5 years out of the workplace and just doing contract things privately. But when it came time to start our business, we had really struggled quite a lot. I mean, we looked at a lot of things. I had been a Dale Carnegie instructor. I had been a consultant. I had my PE, so I could do some analysis and court testimony and that sort of thing. I had done some of that work. But he was now manufacturing this product and trying to help this product get launched, and realized that they had plastic components that they needed that they couldn't get done.
Aha.
And he said, "We're going to start a plastics company." And I said, "We're going to what?" I don't know anything about plastics. He said, "Yeah, but you're the machinery gal." So I think it helped that from the very first day when we founded Noble Plastics, we were each playing to our strengths.
Mm-hmm.
So we started the company. I was the only employee. And the plan was to be the only employee and not have the burdens or complications of payroll and workers' comp and all the things that come with actually owning an actual grown-up business.
Right.
So I thought I had this whipped. I was just gonna work. Right. And I know how to make things, and I know how to keep machines running, and this will be easy.
Right.
And then, surprise, our third child, who I had been trying to conceive for a couple of years without success, decided to show up. Yeah. And God never gives you more than you can handle.
But God has a sense of humor. So those things balance.
So much so. I have 86-page business plan. I was a very competent project engineer, a pretty good project manager. And so without too much, mastery of my plan, my accountant and attorney pointed out that nowhere in the third quarter of the first year was there a pregnancy. So after I told them to shut up, the plan had to change. Yeah. And so we started right away having to hire people. And Scott was still working for the oil field company. In fact, he didn't join us till year 6.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So I myself had to navigate through those first 6 years. And that's where we were talking about some of the pain points of staff growth. And I think it's a pretty common problem that you treat people as you want to be treated. Mm-hmm. And so I'm a very personable person. I'm a very team-minded person. And I was treating everybody the way I wished a supervisor or leader of mine would have treated me. And thank God, an industry colleague who I'm very close to pulled me aside one day and said, "Do you know anything about personality profile?" And I said, "No." He said, "Well, I think you could benefit from having them done for you and your staff.
Learn the differences."
Oh my God. So I was driving some of my people insane, and they were good enough to recognize that it came from a wholesome place, that it came from a place of genuine love. But asking them how their wife was and how their kids were and what they did this weekend was driving them up a wall.
Right.
And I think that was really where I had the impact of, I can't just be the gunslinger who's never had a formal training about how to run a business, or I could handle the math, I could handle the finances, I could handle the technical.
Your strengths.
But running a business is about managing a team of people. Mm-hmm. Because you can't grow or scale without that whole team coming together. And that's where I was failing.
Right.
So that was really a big turning point to start to understand that not only did I have to grow up and apply a process of leadership and management, but that it was the best thing for my team.
Mm-hmm.
And by that point, Scott came on to start the engineering and design group because I'm not creative that way. Right? Very analytical, numbers. You never want somebody creative with the numbers. That's how you end up in an orange jumpsuit.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Correct.
The numbers people always have to be
Math people.
Non-creative.
Yeah. Creative numbers.
Yeah, those are dangerous.
Yes. Prison sentence.
I'm right
That's
here.
right. That's
I'm right here, y'all.
My team knows. I have said for decades, this girl will never wear an orange jumpsuit.
Yeah, no, not a fan.
So my accountants know it. My attorneys know it. My team knows it. But yeah, so I think having that as a tool, having a personality profile assessment. Now, we didn't use it to filter people out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no bad profile. It was just a matter of fitting the team together. And in those first few hires, you think, well, I'm a good engineer and I'm a good employee, and my husband's a good engineer and he's a good employee. I'll hire people like us.
Right.
And what you learn at about that 8-person, maybe, Jackie, you agree?
I would say.
Point is, I have to hire people specifically, deliberately, not like me.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
It's that puzzle piece, right? If all of the puzzle pieces look the same, you can't ever make the full picture.
Right.
Correct.
So once I learned to start seeking people who weren't just different, but deliberately different,
I love that.
that they solved problems differently, that they spoke about a problem differently. Because engineering is about solving problems, and design for a client is about solving problems. So whether they were an engineering staff, design staff, manufacturing staff, or office staff, they always had to be capable of facing and dealing with the challenge themselves. We weren't this giant organization with multi-layers.
It's not a team project. They can't get lost in a bunch of other people doing the work.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And so it started a language of not just what is it that we're trying to do, but how are we going to go about getting it done? And if we run into a brick wall, let's bring in somebody that we know thinks differently.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that dynamic is where we really thrived and grew our reputation and our capabilities. I can't tell you how many times we would solve a problem for a client in an industrial application and then realize it fit in this home good.
Mm-hmm.
And then we solved a problem for a baby product for a mom. And that same solution translated into a defense challenge for an ordnance program. And we had clients over the years ask about acquiring us, or why didn't we do more focused work just for them? And that's when I really started to figure that the magic for us was the diversity of clientele and markets that we served gave us the skills to give a better and more complete answer. And that all of my clients are bigger than I am. All of my clients have dozens more engineers than I do. But they, by their nature, had to focus so deeply on their own product that they could get into a rut of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And they only saw it the way they saw it. And that our real strength was that we did get to see lots of different problems in lots of different arenas with lots of different market challenges. And so I think that openness to the challenge of new opportunity and new problem solving is really what allowed us to prosper.
No, I love that. And I think about the way you have grown. You've got some big opportunities in front of you right now. How do you continue the small, nimble solution thinker out of the box as you grow into being one of the bigger guys?
So
Because y'all got some big news coming.
Yes, we do.
Let's jump into that.
So some's been announced, and that's very exciting for our whole team. It's a little overwhelming.
Sure.
A manufacturer in a rural parish often just flies under the radar. We're in a nondescript steel building that's been a number of things in its lifetime. I mean, it's been a woodworking shop. It's been a janitorial supply warehouse. It's been a gentleman's nightclub.
Some history.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's history in that building. I think for us, the main thing was to know who we are. And when we know who we are, we know what value or connection we have to our clients or our staff. And for us, a lot of that came about as a core values exercise, probably 15 years ago. And it helps you determine not just who you are, but why you are. And it helps you down select the things that are distractions.
It filters every decision, every choice, every relationship, so that it's meaningful to you.
Well, and it helps bring clarity to the team. So in our language, our core values have to live and breathe. They can't be aspirational. They can't be posters on a wall. They have to be how you hire, how you fire, how you promote, how you reward, and how you coach through difficulty. And for us, it was pretty easy. We made this probably a bigger group project than might have been advised because we spent a lot of time with it.
Well, clearly, it defines everything moving forward.
Well, and we didn't do it as just Missy or just Missy and Scott. It was the entire company, and it was sticky notes on walls for weeks, down selecting and up selecting.
You're making Melissa so happy right now.
I just like, hi, Missy, you're my favorite.
I mean, she lives for this stuff.
Well, it wasn't our wisdom that drove that process. We had a consultant help us through it. But what we came out with was so clearly something we all stood behind and has remained without change for 15 plus years now. And we have to keep that drumbeat going as we recruit. We have to keep that drumbeat going as we develop. And so we're doing one of our highlights right now where we're doing a different one a month. And my little newsletter article about it was to remind people they're in order of importance. You don't just get to pick the one that you like best. The first one's the most important.
Which is what?
Do what you say you're going to do.
Integrity.
And as long as you can do that, you don't need to worry about anything else. If you can do what you say you're going to do, you don't even need to know the rest of them. But then life happens and something comes up. And so machines break, trucks get lost, people have the flu. You can't follow through on what you committed to. What's the next core value? Help people succeed. What's the thing that needs to get done to help the person you made the commitment to? For us, it's most commonly about quality. You'll notice be on time is nowhere in my core values. Not that being prompt or prepared doesn't matter, but shipping out a product on time that has concerns about its quality would waste everybody's time and money.
Right.
So if you have to miss a deadline, you have to know the next thing is help them. Is a short shipment enough? Can we substitute something else? Is there an equivalent? If not, the third thing, care about getting it right. It can't just be a second best substitute. It has to meet the criteria. And then fourth and fifth are, again, the things to kind of, well, this didn't work and this didn't work, and now what do I do? Well, be adventurous, be creative, think out of the box, be competitive. How could I bring someone else in to help me? What might be some non-standard path to get this done? And I think that when you put them all together, it's a story of resilience. It's about not giving up. And so much of success just is about the continuing to try. And to know that it's okay if what you tried didn't work. That's something that engineers already have in their DNA. Design, build, test,
redesign, rebuild. But it's important for everyone in the organization to know. I mean, can you imagine a maintenance man who the first time he tried something and it didn't work said, well, I guess it's just broke, and walked away?
How do you teach that to your team? You say it comes naturally to you and it doesn't come naturally to everyone. How do you instill that, lead it, coach it, help your team embody that value also?
Well, I think a lot of it in the hiring process is telling a story about the values, right? Like I said, they can't just be a poster on the wall. If they're not being used in your sales campaign and your marketing campaign and your recruiting campaign, you're not sharing with people who you are and what matters. So when you're going to hire that accountant, HR, a data person, and you're telling them, here's our core values. Don't just roll your eyes. Say, no, this is how we do our business. People depend on you to execute what you commit to. It's accountability. It's respect for the team. It's respect for the client. It's respect for yourself. And to give them the grace to say, not everything goes like we plan.
Right.
So now what? What's next? It's not enough just to say, I couldn't make it happen or I couldn't make it work.
Right.
That's not okay. You have to keep trying. And until you get to the end of that list, until you've brought in other people, until you've used the resources that you haven't gotten permission to stop trying.
I love it. That addresses a lot of stuff. I know I'm kind of looking at Irie over here. That addresses like so many of our conversations, like in this creative space, at Brand Russo and really everywhere when you're trying for excellence, acknowledging the values and keeping on going because that's what you aspire to do. That puts it practically. I love that.
Well, thank you for that. I can't take credit for them. I didn't do them by myself.
But the team did. And that's what's so important.
The team absolutely did.
You're one of the few Louisiana-based companies that we've interviewed on this podcast for a lot of reasons. We wanted to have a diverse group. We look outside the state. How do you find your roots in Louisiana helps or hurts the growth of Noble Plastics?
When we founded the company 25 years ago, it's an anniversary year. We're very excited.
We're a year younger than you because we're February of next year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we'll be 25.
Nice. Yeah. So year 20, we had a big, anyway, let me answer the question. Otherwise, we can just chat all day. When we founded the company, we had not done this before. I'd had great experience running a small engineering firm, which is the best way to learn how to run a business, by the way, with someone else's money.
Absolutely.
That is absolutely the best way to learn. But when we started to go through I think I maybe even bought the book, How to Start a Company for Dummies. Remember those books?
Oh, yeah. I have it in my office.
I'm pretty sure I had that. But it was everything. It was what tax structure do you form? Are you an LLC? Are you an Inc? Are you a C Corp? Are you an S? And I'm a voracious reader. So, this was early days internet. This was not like you could just find anything.
Right.
So it was books, it was research, it was talking to people. And so many people at the time were telling me, well, it doesn't make any sense to start a company here. You should go to Texas. I said, but I'm not at Texas. I'm here and I love it here. I didn't grow up here in Lafayette, but I absolutely love it. And I still had family in New Orleans. And of course, I had family on the I-10 corridor all the way into Houston and Katy and such. But we wanted to do this here. And I think part of it is you'll never make your community, your industry, or your company better if you're not participating in it. Right? If you want to make your school system better, you got to show up. If you want to make your political organization better, you've got to show up. If you want to make your elected officials better, you have to vote.
Right.
If you want to grow a company, you have to work in it. I don't believe in just this investor mindset. And so I think for us, it was, well, if there's not enough opportunity here, that's even more reason to start a company here. And being in a rural location where you see so much of the population is marginalized because of either lack of public transportation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I took for granted having my own private vehicle that I could work where I wanted to. But that's a privilege that a lot of people don't enjoy. And if you're not in an urban center, how do you get to work?
Right.
Well, people outside of the urban center have to take care of their families, and they want opportunity. So being in a rural location certainly has some challenges.
Well, and just for the people who may not know, when she says rural, does the city have 2,000 people?
Oh, gosh, no.
Okay.
In fact, it is in danger of losing its designation as a city. It's so small it might become a village.
Okay. So we're talking about rural.
Where is this?
Grand Coteau.
Grand Coteau.
There's one
Okay.
stoplight.
Okay.
And when I grew up, there was a caution light.
Right.
Yeah, well, and it should be a bedroom community to Lafayette, and it will as the I-49 corridor continues to flush out, but it's just not happening as fast as it should. Some of that school district development, some of that was COVID. We had a huge setback, but I think 10 years from now, you won't even see the end of Lafayette and the beginning of St. Landry Parish.
Yeah.
And when you get that population center, when you get that many more jobs, you get that much more tax base, your schools do better, you build more homes, all those things come along. But in a largely agricultural parish, that diffuse population brings challenges. It brings challenges to everything.
Parish is what we call counties in Louisiana.
Right. So yes, thank you.
We have, most of our listeners are not here, so I need to translate every once in a while.
Which is fabulous. They should come visit because
They should.
our parishes are amazing. There's so much history, as you know,
And culture.
in the part of the state that we're in. But I think that's one reason that I wasn't daunted by it. My industry, the plastics manufacturing industry, is very price challenged. We don't tend to be the main ingredient in a product. We tend to be part of an assembly, or we are the product and it's a very low cost product. It's a plastic thing, right? You get it at a dollar store, or it's the knob on the rod,
Right.
right? It's the small piece. It's the enclosure around your phone or your audio pickup. And so by its nature, they tend to be located in rural communities. More affordable land, more affordable buildings, a workforce that's perhaps more motivated to take a very entry-level kind of work. We're a little different than a lot of our industry because of our automation. When I go see colleagues of ours, it's an unair-conditioned shop. People are wearing shorts and T-shirts and they're sweating. Maybe they've got fans. The lighting is poor. The ventilation, I guess, is great because they've rolled up the doors of the steel building to try and have airflow.
Right.
But it was not uncommon for that to be what manufacturing looked like. And so for us to say, well, how are we going to afford to get this done? You're not building a multi-million-dollar building. You are finding an empty building for rent or for lease or purchase.
A former gentleman's club that needs to be remodeled.
The stories of that building.
Yes. I don't want to know any of them.
Well, we're about to tear down part of it and rebuild. So we may actually lose the bullet holes from the fight in the VIP room upstairs.
Oh.
I think you should cut that out and put it
Right. It's iconic.
Well, you can still tell what the dance floor was and the poles in the warehouse.
Oh my gosh.
Honest
This conversation took a turn, Missy.
Well, listen, when we bought the building and first put up signs like now hiring, and women started showing up and saying, I used to work here. Are you restarting the club? I said, no, we're not restarting the club.
Different kind of experience.
Whole different company. Not the skill set we're looking for. But it was impactful to be able to come into a smaller community and say, look, these are clean, safe, good paying jobs. And no one in the community knew what a plastics manufacturer looked like,
Right.
or what that work was. And so there was a lot of risk, I guess, maybe in their minds, like, is this going to be a good neighbor? Is this going to be a good partner? Are they going to be noisy? Are they going to make all kinds of smells?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think what the community found is that you'd never even know what was going on in that building. It's a very clean industry. It's a very safe industry. And once the word got around the community that we were a good, safe employer, we've really just benefited from being in a community where people see the advantage of being able to ride a bicycle to work or walk even from their home. Our 2 locations have neighborhoods nearby, and it's not uncommon for us to get a family unit to come in because they can walk to the plant.
Right.
Nice.
So when I think about plastics, it has a reputation. I mean, since The Graduate, we've all talked about plastics. And so it's not always considered to be the safest, cleanest, most environmentally friendly of manufacturing. So what have you and Scott and Noble done to try to make sure you're doing the best you can for the environment?
I think it's actually easier than maybe you'd worry about. The process itself is very clean. There's no ground emissions. There's no water emissions. There's no air emissions. If something goes wrong and overheats, it smells like what happens when you slag something in your microwave. It's not pleasant, but nobody's going to get sick. And so there's a lot of ease that comes from that. In fact, that's probably the number one concern we get from a new employee is, can any of this make me sick?
Right.
And we say, well, there's a very transparent safety system, and hey, we can go look at this. And basically, if you don't eat it, you're okay, and it doesn't taste great anyway. So that's easy. And then there's just responsible business practices, like not having waste on the ground, not putting things in landfills. Part of the mindset when I came up through refining, they got a lot of environmental pushback. They have a lot of hurdles to overcome on a mindset of pollution. But one of the crusty old guys at Texaco taught me, polluting is bad business. Mm-hmm. It doesn't just cost you a lot to clean up, but what you spilled had value. Mm-hmm. And so that's a lot of the language that I use with our people is, look, you're not going to eat it. You can't take it home and do anything with it.
Right.
Don't let it fall on the floor. The only value it has is going into the machine. And everything that comes out of the machine, if it's good, gets sold. So it's about lean manufacturing just naturally. Don't waste. Don't make scrap. Clean up. Everything that can be recycled should. Some of our clients specify that we use a recycled product stream. They want to be able to put that on their marketing, on their labeling. But even for those who, because they might be in a food service or they can't use any kind of recycled content, we sell or repurpose all of the scrap or runners or waste that come off of that. And so I can't say we're a zero waste, zero landfill company. But I think it's fair to say most of the industry has gone that way. And again, part of it is when you're in a tight margin business, mm-hmm. if you can sell your scrap for even pennies, you sell your scrap instead of pay to have a waste disposal company put it in the ground somewhere.
It's very smart.
Good.
What's the moment in your journey when you thought, I'm not sure I can do this, and what got you through it?
I've had several of those. Mm-hmm. It might take me a minute to think about a specific one.
Yeah, and my question was kind of going to that too. Can I just, as you're
thinking
please. About it, because, we, with the She's So Bossy title, we're kind of playing up and playing on the fact that women in boss leadership roles is not always easy. And, we have some double standards, and we try to stay away from the questions about being a woman in leadership and business. But we can't ignore the early part of your story was how you took off from your leadership track, your business plan to have the family. And now here you are. So kind of to Jackie's question, I was just wondering too, what challenges do you face in what seems to be what I would think is a male dominated industry, or what we think of as,
Right.
labor and
There's a lot of questions in there.
I know. You can pick any of them.
This is why I don't talk much, because I tend to talk too much when I do talk. But so it's just to follow up on that part of her question. Like, where was the challenging part where you thought, can I do this? What's the obstacle? So it's her question with a lot more words.
Okay. Well, I think I can answer this in a couple of ways.
Bring it on.
So the business challenges come about when you've had economic contraction, right? You lost a client, you lost an industry challenge. So for us, that was the 2009 financial crisis and the 2015 oil industry collapse. Being in this part of the country, most of our clients are in the oil field and industrial space. And so on the one hand, you say, well, this market or this client that's been a major part of my business is telling me that they're not going to be doing much revenue with me. What do I do? Well, you need to immediately pivot. You need to immediately get all hands on deck. And that was not hard for us. We've always had a pretty transparent relationship with our staff. And so I think a lot of it was bringing all hands in, saying, hey, nobody's surprised by this, right? Particularly when it was the oil field contraction, because everybody's family was in it.
Mm-hmm.
So they all had family members losing jobs, losing payroll, concerned about their family stability. And so we came together and we said, here's our plan. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what we can do. Here's what we can't do. And if we all work together, we're all going to be okay, but we're going to get through it. And nobody was really happy about it. Right. But we got through it, and we got through it faster. And I think part of that was that I have to be who I am. And I wasn't going to play a game with them. I was going to have to be honest and vulnerable. And that's where I often think that women can succeed better than men in challenging times, partly because we're culturally acclimatized to being okay with being vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to put up a front. It's okay to say, this is scary, and I've done the math, and I think this will get us through, but this is the best information I have, and this is the best decision I can make at this moment. So that, I think, partly answers your question.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when the
100%
business goes
does.
badly?
Right.
What maybe I didn't answer is what happens when Missy goes badly.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's happened too.
What does Missy do?
It's...
I just want to hear grabs a drink and hits the club. But what do you really do?
I don't have the magic answer.
Right.
And I think all I can say is I've gotten better and better at handling it by becoming more and more aware of it happening to me. So probably the first time I personally had a really major stressor, I didn't handle it well. I stressed my family. I stressed my spouse. I lost weight. I couldn't sleep. I was tremulous. People were worried about me. And it wasn't until it reached a point where I really went, this is not okay. And I've had to learn. And I think part of it is just maturing. And, you could say, I didn't learn those things maybe when I was younger, but at some point, the rough times are going to come for all of us.
And you learn by the experience. Mm-hmm.
That's right. And so things like more deliberate, purposeful planning and time. And then some of it is just saying, I've given this thing, I was a Dale Carnegie instructor. That was one of my potential entrepreneurial paths.
Right.
I go back to my little golden book. How much worry am I going to let this take from me?
Right.
And I've gotten very good at saying, I've put enough energy into that, and that's done. The anxiety, the worry does not get better when I pour energy into it.
Mm-hmm.
I know me. I'm a problem solver. I cut off that whole line of thinking. I cut off that whole path, and I turn that energy into, there's a way to solve this, and I'm just going to find out how.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the better I get at recognizing it, the faster I pivot, the faster I'm out of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think you answered it all, beautifully. I love, it was the perfect marriage of, this is how we operate a business, woman or not. This is like smart business practices. And then I really do appreciate the personal aspect of it too. Mm-hmm.
And you're going to have both. You're saying can, like maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. It's definitely
still
going to happen
human.
at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, and if you work with your spouse, Jackie works with her spouse.
And your child.
And two of them.
Right.
Two of
Oh, I've got two too.
Yeah.
I mean, two in the business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And it's great, by the way.
it can be.
It can be.
Yeah.
It can be the most amazing, satisfying thing. And it can also be the most nerve-wracking, terrifying, anxiety-filled thing.
Yes.
But yeah, I think any entrepreneur, male, female, needs to understand that. And maybe it's because I compartmentalize too much.
No, I'm a big
You do
fan.
it well. You do
Big
it
fan.
well. Yeah.
Ignore her.
compartmentalizing.
Big
No.
fan of compartmentalization.
But I
the
think
best.
if it's a business problem, okay, I have tools for that and I have resources for that. And those resources and tools look like this. And if I have a spouse or relationship problem, I have resources and tools and they might look like that. And if I have other kinds of, I have financial challenges, they might look like this and I have tools like that. So for me, it's very much about categorizing something and then breaking it down.
Mm-hmm.
Small pieces.
Engineering.
Mhm.
Well, but in life,
love how
you
your brain
have
works.
to make small pieces because you can't tackle the whole thing.
Mhm.
And so if you break it down into small pieces or compartments, then you can get it fixed. 100%.
If you interviewed my staff today, at least 50% of them, if you ask that question, would say, you eat the elephant one bite at a time. We say that a lot in our business.
I used to also, but got in trouble with a client who was a big PETA fan who did not appreciate it. So now I say apple. You eat the apple one bite at a time. Apparently it's okay to eat fruit.
Yeah, I'm not really planning to eat any elephant myself.
I'm not either, but boy, they were offended, like legit
Really?
offended.
Oh,
Yeah.
oops. Okay.
You have to have that nuance of knowing who your client or your audience is, right? It hasn't happened much, but we have had occasions where a client has come in and it's just not been a fit.
Right.
And to recognize that early, it's as crucial as recognizing a bad hire early.
Mm.
So finding whether you and that client have enough in common to make this work mutually or not. We see it with our design staff. If an inventor comes to us or a client comes to us with a new product line and we can't find something exciting about that product, we won't take the work because I don't believe we'll do our best work.
Hmm.
And they deserve somebody passionate about their work.
Absolutely. All right, this is my last question on the list. When all's said and done, what do you hope your legacy as a leader will be?
I'm going to need a minute.
You can have as many as you want.
I'm not sure I'm ready to talk about legacy.
Okay. I mean, it's a big word.
It's a big
It's heavy. It's a heavy word.
It's a heavy word.
You want to say like next year? How do you want people to think about you? We don't have to make it eternity. We can just pull it back. We just say like in the next 15 months, how do you want people to talk about you at dinner?
I think as many mistakes as I've made, technical mistakes, personal mistakes, leadership mistakes, I think it would be amazing if people could say she was kind. That even when I'm wrong, that it came from that place.
That's a good one.
And that makes you noble, Missy.
Right.
Thank you.
Look at you pulling it all back around. That was so good.
No, seriously.
No, but seriously. Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
You know, it's, I think sometimes an entrepreneur is too afraid to bring their whole selves to work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where stress comes from. Everybody can make money. I hate to tell you, if you're intimidated, anybody can make money. It's easy to make money. But to make a team, to make work that's meaningful. You know, some of my colleagues, their work is so meaningful. It's so easy. You don't even have to struggle. They make medical devices that save children, right? I mean, like, their work speaks. When you make products that are industrial, that go into machinery, that just helps something run better, it can be hard sometimes to find the meaning in that. And so it's important that you know that the dignity of your own team comes from their efforts, that the quality of the work that they do, that the relationships that they have with their coworkers, with their clients, facilitates their relationships at home, their opportunities, to their vacations, the orthodontia bills for their kids. And so even for a very, very functional thing like a knob, it still matters. It's still important to that product. And so in a very small way, even as an industrial manufacturer, there's meaning in what we do.
Huge.
And so I think it's important for people to feel that every day. For me, I think anyone in my organization could run an organization that cares about the outcome. I think my role in the company is to be less of that high D.
My people.
Disc profile for those listening.
And to be all the I that I am. I am the heart.
Her people.
And yes. And in our 25 years, we've employed several people who are like all I, no D. And, you know, the team, I think, has come to understand that Missy may get weepy from time to time, but I think there's some trust in that too, because it's true and it's genuine. And I think that legacy in the long term will be much more meaningful to me than some of the short-term successes that we're anticipating in the next year.
Fact.
Love that. Are we doing lightning round now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Oh, me go? Okay. What was your first job ever?
My first job ever was making shakes at Rack's Roast Beef.
Yeah.
There you
Where
go.
was Rax? Is that on the West Bank?
It was on the West Bank.
In New Orleans.
Yeah, at the mall at Barataria and Lapalco.
I grew up with the Plaza. I was in New Orleans East.
Oh,
so
okay.
that's awesome.
Well, then.
Well, you can't say that now. It's
No,
not
no, no.
fancy
Yeah,
now.
oh,
Come on.
Not anymore.
Come on.
Not anymore.
No.
Biggest business splurge you don't regret?
I think the biggest splurge actually would be things like my logo in the lobby.
It's very nice.
It's very nice.
It's very nice. We have had help along the way. They came with something great. We made some fine tuning.
Okay.
It's one of those things that at the time they're like, "You're going to spend what on what?" No, I don't regret that.
What is your go-to pump-up song?
I guess CNC Music Factory.
Oh.
Body's fat. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Everybody dance now.
I get on my treadmill to that. So
Nice.
I always feel good when that one starts me off.
Which one is that? It
See-
makes everything go right. That
Yes,
one? Okay.
yes.
Funny. Okay. Good.
Book every leader should read.
Every leader should read. I'm going to have to stick with my favorite book regardless. Pride and Prejudice.
Oh, excellent choice.
Listen, human foibles
Yes.
persist,
Yes.
right? You can learn as much from Pride and Prejudice or Midsummer Night's Dream by Shakespeare
I'm so happy right
as
now.
anything from a modern thought leader on
Fact.
business, because people haven't changed that much.
Or like it all?
We have presumptions, we have prejudices, we have our own mindset and perspectives. And until we can break out of those and recognize the fallibility of those, we haven't really broken ourselves open to greater understanding.
Pride go before the fall.
Oh my gosh. What's the most bossy thing you've ever done? I do have language. What's
The most bossy thing I've ever done. Oh, I promise you, my team would tell you there's definitely one of those.
Air quotes.
Every now and then I definitely strap on the stompy boots and I walk in and I just say, we're not doing that.
There you go.
I can't think of a specific. It doesn't happen frequently, but when it does, the team knows that that's over.
Right.
That's over.
No is a complete sentence. If you weren't doing this, what would you be doing?
If I weren't doing this, I would be advocating for greater awareness and early identification of the different learning methods that children have. That will probably be my passion project when Noble is done,
That's
when
awesome.
I am done with Noble.
Yeah, I think that's a good distinction. That is awesome.
Yeah. When Noble moves into other hands, that's what I'll do.
Do you have a succession plan or thought? A succession thought?
We have, and we do. We do internal leadership development. We try and educate ourselves about the methods and variances that other people have. I think part of it is until we get closer to it, we wouldn't know what that specifically is going to be.
Right.
But no, I definitely have things I want to do
In the next chapter.
in the next chapter.
That's awesome.
Will you come train my team? Is that part of it?
Yes,
Can you get
absolutely.
into coaching and training and
We'll put you on the
get
team.
on that roster?
I could do that. I could
really?
do that.
I heard the yes.
It's on
Okay,
recorded.
yeah.
She's locked in. Contract signed.
But I think the bigger passion project for me, and some who've heard me speak about workforce development and things, is that standardized testing marginalizes too many of our children. And being in a workplace where the recognition of spatial skills and visualization skills is paramount. It's what helps us make things. It's what differentiates an engineer from an accountant or actuary. People think, oh, you're good at math, you should be an engineer. No. Good at math might mean accountant or actuary. Spatial skills, robot programmers, architects, engineers, machinists, welders, people who build things, makers. With the prevalence of 3D printers now, I think kids are discovering their maker skill, and there's acceptance of maker as a skill. Whereas generations ago, it was like set aside, like, oh, well, leave all the AP courses and go to shop. And so that's a personal crusade of mine to bring back the value of all these different methods of learning and expression.
I love that.
And integrate the whole of somebody, like you said, learning everybody's different and all the different strengths and skills. That's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is great. Missy Rogers, you were perfect. And this was awesome.